Hi beautiful weirdos, it's Charlotte here from Pretty Scary. I hope you're all very well, and I am really excited today because I am filming my zombie Easter Bunny tutorial, and I'm so bloody excited about this one. I've been excited all year and I can't wait. I've already filmed the cute one and that'll be up on my channel too. So you can take your pick whether you want to be a cute bunny or an evil bunny. So I'm gonna get going. 80s music. So I've already blocked out my brows and I'm taking a white water-based face paint and a sponge and just sticking that white face paint all up in there, everywhere. Well, all over your face, not literally everywhere. Then taking some latex and cotton wool, and you want to start building your bunny muzzle. So just pour some latex out into a little dish. I'm just using the top off the white face paint, and just ensure that you've got your pieces to about the right size for your muzzle, and then just put a little bit of latex on your top lip and stick on your first muzzle piece. Now this is quite a forgiving makeup because you don't actually need to worry about covering up the fluffiness of the cotton wool in this one, because it will all help to add to that nice cute bunny look. Not so cute, as you'll see. Right, now I'm just sticking the end of a brush in some latex and just pushing it down around my nostrils, just so that the cotton wool doesn't obscure my nostrils too much. And then just putting a little bit of more latex in the centre there, just so I can kind of form that middle bit of the muzzle that rabbits have going down from their nose. So I'm just using a metal spatula just to kind of push that in there and form that. And then just taking some more latex and just smoothing that around the edges of the muzzle, just to kind of meld that into the face, kind of smooth the edges down. And at the moment I look a bit like somebody's cute albino granddad. Or actually, yeah. And then I'm just making the nose piece. Now make sure that you fashion the cotton wool into the rough shape first of all before you dip it in the latex. This will really help you to mould the nose. Dip it into the latex and then just pop it straight on there and just mould it on with your fingers. It's pretty easy really. Yes, I do look like the Colonel from Danger Mouse. Not like somebody's cute grandpa anymore. There he is. And then just putting a little bit more latex up my nose, and not literally up my nose obviously, and then just sticking a straight piece up and splitting it in the middle to form the brow pieces for the evil bunny. So this is all just a case really of just building up the latex and the cotton wool. But before I do that, I want to cover over the eye that's going to be the zombie pulled out eye. And I'm just using a piece of cling film, which I've cut to size, and then just sticking that on with some latex. This cling film will protect your eye from all the latex and stuff you will be putting over the top of it. And then I'm just continuing to mould the nose piece and the brows, and you can do this however you want. I just wanted to go for sort of quite an angry brow. Use a picture of a rabbit as a reference, just so that you know the sort of rough look that you're going for. And then again just put some latex around the edges like you did with the muzzle piece and just smooth that into the skin. All pretty easy so far. Any areas that you want to look a bit sort of gnarly and mangy, which is quite a lot of it because you obviously don't want this bunny to look all cute and fluffy, you can just put a little bit more latex on and it will just make it look all kind of nasty and mangy and blah. Blah, that's a new word, I think it should go in the dictionary. Right, now I'm taking a bit of muslin and I'm just cutting that to shape, and then I'm just fitting that over the top of the cling film. This is just so that it's white the same as the rest of the piece and you haven't got that kind of cling film showing. And it's see-through, you'll be able to see through it still. And then the cling film underneath will just protect your eye from when you put more latex on there, because you do not want to get latex in your eye. You will regret it, trust me. Now I'm just putting a little bit of latex on the forehead and sticking on 2 pieces either side to form the forehead pieces. And then just making that brow a bit bigger so I can make it a bit more angry for my zombie bunny. And then I'm just putting a little tiny fluffy bunny chin piece on. Now I kind of look like the Colonel from KFC Chicken. There's a lot of kernels going on in this video. And just the same as before, just putting a little bit more latex around and just smoothing those pieces in, using the spatula just to mould it to the shape I want. My inspiration for this bunny came from the wonderful drawing of the zombie white rabbit in the Dark Alice in Wonderland colouring book. If you haven't seen that, Google it. It looks amazing and I am determined to get it at some point. So yeah, so that was my sort of inspiration for this piece. And now you can see I'm just putting some clear nail varnish on the bunny teeth. And then just painting some dark red grease paint up in that mouth area before I put the teeth in, because that would just give the illusion of that being a sort of a deeper mouth rather than having a human mouth underneath the bunny muzzle. And I've just taken some cooked pasta and just put it in some red food colouring there, as you can see. That will form the gnarly eye piece, which I'm just painting in here now with the same red grease paint, just to form the base for that. And then just breaking those pasta pieces up, putting a little bit of latex on, and then just sticking that on, or rather attempting to. I would normally have used Pros-Aid for this, but for some reason my Pros-Aid was eluding me. I couldn't find it anywhere, so yeah, took me a couple of attempts, but I got there in the end. Now the latex will feel really cold, so it will feel like it's going in your eye, but it's not, trust me, because it cannot get through that cling film. And then I'm just taking some little bits of cotton wool dipped in latex and just sticking them over just to make it look a bit more kind of manky and gnarly and zombie-ish and all pulled out. And I've got a little piece hanging down there too, as you can see, as if it's kind of had the eyeball pulled off the end of it. And then just taking a mix of kind of dark brown, red, grey, black, and just painting around the eye just to give some depth and just to make it look kind of zombie-ish and sore and a bit sort of, you know, myxomatosis kind of thing going on there. So yeah, bit of red, bit of shading. You can kind of do this exactly how you want to do it. Again, I'm using some rabbit pictures as a reference and also my lovely original inspiration drawing too. And then I'm just taking some more of that white face paint and just going over all the edges of that latex, which can go a bit yellowed on the piece, so you just want to go back over that with your white face paint. Although a little bit of yellow isn't going to hurt with this because this rabbit is a zombie after all. And now I'm just using a little bit of latex just to stick the rabbit teeth up inside the muzzle. And this is where it really starts to look like a rabbit and less like either the Colonel from KFC or the Colonel from Danger Mouse. And using a little bit more latex just to stick that in there. You might need to dry this off with a hairdryer just to ensure that that's really sort of fastened in there well. And then just taking some bright red grease paint and some dark red grease paint and just building up the colour in that manky zombie eye socket. So just put the bright red on first of all and then the deeper red to give a bit more depth. And then I'm just taking some deep grey shades and just painting that onto the face and onto the cotton wool areas just to kind of mould the two together and to give more of a sort of a fur appearance. And now just taking a flesh tone and painting the end of the nose. You can use whatever colours you want for your bunny. I just decided to go for white bunny. You can do brown bunny if you want, or you know, you can use multicoloured things if you want, you know. The world is your oyster with your bunny. And I'm just shading in around the features, so shading in around the nose and around the end of the nose just to give a little bit more definition and just to make that kind of wider animal-like sort of nose rather than a human nose. And then just shading around that muzzle as well and down under the chin. This is to give definition to the features but also to make it look more sort of zombie and manky and mouldy and nasty. And now I'm just mixing a nice kind of yellowy shade because I do want a little bit of sort of yellowy, mouldy tones up in there. This rabbit would not be looking fresh, trust me. It's kind of a bit like Watership Down, but a lot nastier. If you've seen Watership Down. If you haven't seen Watership Down, watch it. It's brilliant. You especially want some depth around that mouth and also around that eye, obviously. Now at this point you might notice it's starting to look a little bit stripy, but do not fret, we will be sorting that out. So yes, going back in with the white face paint and just kind of not smudging, but you know, kind of just moulding that all together now. Just using the white to kind of marry all the colours up and also provide a bit of highlight as well, so you'll have less of a stripe effect and more of a kind of unison kind of look. And just basically keep going until you're happy with it. So just keep on painting. I decided it was a little bit too dark under that eye there, so I painted a bit more white in. And then I just wanted to deepen around that eye socket and bring a bit more definition back into the features. So obviously you go over with the white to kind of bring all the colours together, and then you just want to put that little bit of definition back in, because I did want this bunny to look kind of a little bit cartoony because it is based on an illustration. So just doing the definition on that forehead piece, and then just around the eyes a little bit more, and around the nose and the muzzle, down the centre of the muzzle to where the teeth are, and just underneath the teeth too. And then just taking some red and painting that around the mouth, because this is a zombie rabbit and he eats other rabbits because he's a cannibal. So yes, he'd have a lot of rabbit blood around his mouth. Zombie bunny. Right, I'm now taking some crepe hair and just pulling out some of that, making it all fluffy, and just taking a piece, twisting the end, and then dipping that end into my latex and just sticking that on. So I'm just going to put some of this crepe hair basically on the eyebrows and a little bit on the muzzle and the chin. And the idea of this really is just to make it look a bit more mangy and just a little bit more kind of, you know, myxomatosis. Yes, it does get everywhere and it does stick to everything, just to warn you. Put your bunny fluff and do your bunny dance. And then I just painted some white into my hair and put on my ears, and then put a little bit of thick blood around that zombie mouth and around the eye too. And then I decided to pin my hair up because my headband was a bit thick to pin it in and the ears were a little bit heavy. Zombie bunny strip. And then just painting the top half of my body because that will be shown in the photos, and finally adding some nice blood to my zombie. And there we go. Finished zombie Easter bunny, and I'm rather pleased with it, if I do say so myself. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please hit the big red subscribe button below so that you always know when I'm posting all my weird shit and pretty shit sometimes, if a shit can be pretty. Have a lovely Easter. Thanks for watching. Love you all. Bye. Zombie bunny kisses.